So I'm in Charlie's flat, and Charlie is going to reveal this mini theatre that I first saw 8 years ago. Okay, I haven't seen it for 8 years. This is a great reconciliation of me and mini theatre.
This is the theatre built, what is it, over about 10 years or so, on and off. But just because I think it's always important to make sure that if there's a fire during this film, we can shut off the theatre from the point of view of safety. Here I am. I made that. And yes, I think this took me about... It took me about 10 years, but I did stop and design some proper operas in the middle. That's the size of me. So it's a roughly 1:25 scale model, but it's not... Oh, it is blown. I knew that was going to happen. It's like the Hackney Empire, the lights blow. It's not been used for quite a long time, so I think some of the electrics are potentially a bit dodgy. But it's based loosely on a Matcham-style auditorium. He's my big hero, theatre architect. Who built the London Coliseum, is his most famous, but his most beautiful is the Hackney Empire, and that's next door. So we're going to go backstage now. This is going outside the building, and we're seeing in through the side of the stage. We can see into the upper stage from the wings, and if we go down low enough, we can see up into the upper parts. You can see the way scenery of this kind would have been lit around about 1910, I should think, roughly. That's the style of the painting. So big lights, big floodlights that have been used to just wash the scenery with light, and also different side lights that are on and switched on and off to light the people, if I can find the right switch. Yeah. So there are perch lights at the side of the stage. Spotlights above the stage. All of this was wired up by me, so it will probably eventually catch fire, because it's a long time since I wired things up. And above the stage, there's a grid, and everything can fly in and out. You saw the house tabs and the It's not a very deep stage. In fact, for Tristan and Isolde, this would be very full on. It's a tiny stage for an opera, which makes as much racket as Tristan. Here are the really expensive seats. It's a terrible view. We can actually put... I think Isolde should just give her a sense of scale. That's how big I think people are. Tristan and Isolde go to the opera.
Socially distanced.
Socially distanced, yeah. She's being very temperamental, insists on wearing her own costume, so I've had her design it, and it's just easier to just obey her because, oh, she's fallen over, because she's a tricky individual. The Isoldes, the heroic singers, as people who sing the heroic roles, are usually okay. I'm being filmed. I'm talking to the camera. No, I think Isoldes and Electras and those people who sing those roles are usually much, much easier to get on with than the people who sing the fancy, flighty Italian stuff. And they've got, I think, was it Kirsten Flagstad or Nilsson who said what you need to sing Isolde or Brunhilde is just a solid pair of shoes. That's a bit acidic. Do we need to just give it a bit of age and just, there we are, that's
like
good.
that.
Yeah, a bit of that. She just needs a bit of, she looks a little modern. She hasn't bought it in Primark, has she? She's got arms. And she was originally made in 1996 to be the Isolde scale figure for Tristan and Isolde at the London Coliseum, a production that I was originally contracted to design and that I eventually didn't do for personal reasons. So she is experienced, shall we say, in the role. Unfortunately, she's hysterical and she's always standing in that position, and it's tricky. If you put her in a Mozart opera production, she looks overwrought and unwise.
And these are all of your Tristan and Isolde recordings?
There are a lot more. There are some on MP3 and you can't film those because they're MP3s.
There you go.
But
and eventually we get to Demise
and then
Singer.
you get to Demise Singer, but don't fall down the stairs.
So, Tristan, Charlie, tell me all about it.
Well, it was one of those crazy pieces that Wagner tried to write something that was meant to be practical. He wasn't trying to write something with big scene transformations from the Venusberg to a valley or anything like that, or the Rhine overflowing its banks or anything. He was trying to write something that was going to be easy to do. So no chorus really. And not a massive orchestra, just tried to keep it under control. He needed to earn some money, that was as usual, he was in a big financial problem. And then he unfortunately fell in love with the wife of his biggest supporter. Their love affair sort of turned into an opera. He came up with this idea of setting Gottfried von Strasbourg's poem about Tristan and Isolde, which we think is dated about 1210, and that's Gottfried von Strasbourg. It took a long time to get to the stage because it was basically much harder to do than he thought it was going to be. He thought this is going to be easy. So he offered it first of all, I think he hoped he was going to get a commission for it from South America, and that didn't really happen. So later he got Vienna involved, and they rehearsed and declared it unsingable, unperformable. They just ditched it. And Wagner gave up hope for a while, and then his dream king Ludwig came along, Ludwig II of Bavaria, and gave Wagner his theatre and whichever singers and however much rehearsal time he needed. Conducted by the great Wagnerian conductor, or to be great Wagnerian conductor, Hans von Bülow, whose wife, Cosima, Richard Wagner was having a very evident affair with, more or less under the conductor's nose, during the rehearsal period. So it's a total hotbed of lust and sex and depravity. Adultery, the lot. There's Clara Schumann, who I think declared it to be one of the most disgusting things she'd ever heard, and she couldn't, it made her physically sick to listen to it. I think it's not really had the same effect on audiences ever since. I'd say it's stuck in the repertory pretty much ever since. It's practically unsingable and practically unplayable. I finally got to stage it a few years ago in Lisbon, and the big tricky thing for any artist doing this piece really is that it's so personal. I mean, everybody will come and see the production that you do of a piece like Tristan and say, no, that's not the way to do it. Absolutely, it should be done in the dark. There shouldn't be any staging. It should be done absolutely in modern dress. It doesn't make any sense if it isn't done in a way that relates to us, or it's too literal. Don't put people on stage who are wearing specific modern clothes, or don't overly specify anything about it. It's basically impossible.
Charlie, who do you keep in this packing case here?
In that packing case, there is the Metropolitan Opera. It's not alive at the moment. In fact, it's probably on furlough. And I have too many models in this studio at the moment, mainly because I've been designing like crazy, but all the theatres are closed, so they're stacking up. I've got Scottish Opera here, I've got Milan, I've got the Met, and I've got, I can't remember something else. Oh yeah, Madrid. Yeah. So it's busy. It's full on.
Where did all this start?
Started with my mum and dad, who were real, they're both painters, and my dad was really interested in architecture, and when he was 15 he did this, which is a painting of the railway station in Newcastle, which I think is a pretty amazing bit of perspective work. It's not the easiest shape to actually capture. There's two cylindrical vaults there which are pretty tricky. He's not so good at the people, I have to say.